Hello and welcome to Ancestral Healing with Alida. Today I'm going to talk about the father wound. We're going to talk about that sensation that we might have now as an adult that it wasn't enough. That sensation of resentment, that anger, that sensation of I'm not complete. So let's talk about the father wound. Today we're going to talk about how is the impact of this wound. And I don't know even to say the word wound because it's just a trauma, right? It's a traumatic experience. And a traumatic experience doesn't mean that the wound has to be still opened or that the wound even existed. It's how I perceive it. And I'm going to start with this. I was talking to someone yesterday. I was seeing a client and this person told me like, look, can you see this boy? The boy is 6 years old, around 6 years old. And the parents they got divorced and the father hasn't seen the boy in the last year for more than two or three times. And the person who was sharing with me that situation was telling me if it would be beneficial for me to see the boy, which I think that it would be. But why would we think that that father is absent? Because he's not physically present, correct? But there is something that it goes beyond the physical experience. That is the energy that we share with each other. For example, my husband travels a lot. Does that mean that he's not physically present at those times when he's not in the house and he's not present for my daughter? I think that he's because they have a good bond. They have a strong bond together. So he's connected, even though he's not physically here. Who is more present? A father that is with you 24 hours, that is very controlling of whatever you do. You leave the school 2:30, you have to get back home 2:45, you don't go and see your friends. That is over the kid, over the child, all the time. Or the father who is only seeing the child twice, 2 times or 3 times a year. Who is more absent? And we won't know about this. You know why? Because we cannot talk about the presence of someone in our lives only seeing the physical presence. That wouldn't be fair because everything that we have accomplished so far now is connected with this bond that we cannot see that is connecting us to our mother and to our father. And so we are going to talk about this, and we're going to talk about also maybe if someone is struggling in relationships, if someone has a lack of confidence, if you have these sensations or these thoughts, or if you have seen your kids having these characteristics, this episode will be for you. So now we are gonna start talking in what is exactly a father wound. In family constellations, the father wound refers to an emotional or energetic impact of a father who was absent, emotionally unavailable, overly critical, or even abused. When someone is emotionally unavailable is when I go and say to my father, for example, I have a problem. And my father will say like, shut up, just shake it off and just go. Or won't even listen to me, or it might be on his cell phone. He's sitting next to me, but he's on his cell phone. Or if I said to my father, hey, I didn't score A plus in this test, he said, like, oh, you're stupid. I would have done it. Overcritical. So those are absent situations. This wound isn't just about this wound isn't just about your personal relationship with your dad. It also can be connected to ancestral patterns, which means that probably your father had experienced somehow, it doesn't need to be exactly the same story, but he had some experience with his father that it looks the same that what he's projecting with you. So if my father was an alcoholic, probably his father was absent and had some type of drug abuse, or he was an alcoholic also, or something there, and probably the great grandfather the same, and the grandfather and the great grandfather. Maybe your father carried his wounds from his father and those who got passed down to you. In family constellations, we see the father as a key figure who represents structure, protection, and identity in the family system. And when there is not that figure within you, then you can have different disorders. For example, if a father was absent because a divorce, the parents got divorced, because he travels a lot, he works and he has to be overseas for 8 months, or he's in war, or he just left the house, you might feel this person who experienced that absent father might feel a void of safety or belonging. If he was emotionally distant, you might struggle with feeling worthy of love. And if he was harsh or critical, you might carry a sense of never being enough. This wound just don't just stay in childhood. They follow us into adulthood, often in ways we don't expect. Usually a person with an addiction, usually a person who's like, I cannot travel. I cannot win this marathon. I cannot accomplish this. I cannot build up this emporium with my business, or I don't have the confidence to do it. Someone who feels pretty ugly, someone who feels that no one is gonna love her or love him. There must be a situation with a father wound. When a father leaves, let me tell you, what do you think? When a father leaves, whether physically or emotionally, it can leave a child feeling unlovable or unworthy. That's an abandonment wound. You didn't leave me, you didn't give me enough love. You know why you didn't give me enough love? That because I didn't deserve it. The other wound would be rejection. A father who ignores or dismisses a child's needs or emotions can create a wound of feeling invisible. And this is very obvious when someone tells me, I felt that I've never been seen in my family, or my father never saw me for who I am. Rejection wound. Lack of validation. If a father rarely praises or acknowledges a child's efforts, it can lead to self doubt or perfectionism. Over criticism. A father who is harsh or overly demanding can instill a fear of failure or a need to constantly prove oneself. Betrayal. This might happen if a father breaks trust, like through infidelity or failing to protect the family. Unresolved ancestral wounds. Sometimes the wound isn't just from your father, but from a grandfather or a great grandfather whose pain was never healed. And because it was never healed, someone needs to pay attention in bringing back again to this present moment to finally be healed. In family constellations, we see all of these wounds as an energetic imbalances. The child, out of loyalty to the family system, might unconsciously carry the father's pain or try to fix it. So I carry it for you, or I try to fix it for you. And this is obviously unconsciously. My conscious mind, I'm not aware every day that this is happening to me. Now, why don't we talk about how the father's wound project in our adulthood? This is where things get real. The fatherhood doesn't just stay in the past. It shapes how we move through the world. And I'm going to tell you which areas could be affected by the father wound. The first one, relationships. For example, if you grew up with a father wound, you might struggle to trust partners or feel safe in intimacy. Usually, you will project the wounds that you carry from your parents that you haven't healed yet in your relationships with your partner, with your boss, with your coworkers, with your friends. For example, an abandonment wound might make you fear being left, right? So you either cling to relationships or push people away. And I have talked to someone about this, how I can hug everyone. Like, I'm very like to give hugs. But when it's connected to my relationship with my partner or with any other partners that I have had, haven't had that many, but two other partners. My tendency, my pattern is to don't. I don't try to don't hug. Like I get like no. Because I felt at one point an abandonment wound, or I felt abandoned coming from my father. It wasn't necessarily true, but I felt it that way. And I created a belief system with that abandonment. I was abandoned when I was little. So, or you cling to the relationship, whatever is going to happen, I want you to stay with me, or I don't, just leave me alone. This relationship is getting serious. I'm getting scared. I don't want to be hurt anymore. I've seen clients in constellations, in family constellations, uncover that their pattern of choosing unavailable partners mirrors their father's emotional absence. When you choose a partner that already has a partner, that person is not available for you, correct? But you are choosing it. For some reason, you are choosing it. You know that this person is not going to be there for you as a partner. Why? Why are you choosing that? You're choosing because there is someone who is missing, right? That someone that you missed. And could be that the absent father. Self-esteem. A lack of validation from a father can lead to chronic self-doubt or a need for external approval. You might feel like you are never good enough no matter how much you achieve. In family constellations, we often see this tied to an ancestral pattern of men in the family feeling unworthy. And self-esteem is how much I love myself. I don't feel that I received enough love from my parents when I was little. I won't be able to have enough love to share with my partner, and I'm not going to be able to receive enough love from my partner. And it's going to be like this forever and ever up until we break this cycle. You only can give and receive the love that you have accepted from your parents. And your parents gave you 1% of love. They couldn't give you 100%. Do you accept it, or are you going to be crying for the rest of your days, claiming for that 99%? That's up to us. Career and ambition. You know that in the astrological world, the house 10, usually, I have my good friend Jessica, she's the best astrologist in the whole world. We did an episode a couple months ago. I think that the house 10 in your birth chart is connected to your father and is connected to your career. And your career is very connected to your father. The father wound can affect how you show up in the world. What is the face that the world is seeing to me? People sees me. An overcritical father might make you perfectionistic, always striving but never satisfied. Or an absent father might leave you feeling directionless, unsure of your purpose. I work with a client who realized her fear of taking risks in her business stemmed from her father's constant criticism. She was still seeking his approval. Whatever happened in your career, how much you develop, how much you grow in your career is how you see your father. Personal growth. The father wound can block your ability to step into your full potential. You might feel stuck, like there is an invisible weight holding you back. In family constellations, we often find this weight is an ancestral loyalty to a father or grandfather who couldn't live fully, or you are carrying their unfulfilled dreams of pain. So you remember, I can say, my soul can say to the father, my great grandfather, whoever started, I can say like, I take this pain for you, or I carry that pain, your pain, with me. And it's a choice that we have made when we decided to get into this experience. But once we put it together and we understand by the charts that we can make in a session, or by doing a constellation in a group setting or a one-on-one, we understand it and we break the cycle, understanding that at one point I made a decision, but now I don't wanna follow this pattern anymore. So the question is, how do I feel the father wound? And let me tell you something, because that's the way that I think. I think from what I have seen, there's no father wound without a mother wound. I always say we work with a mother, and you can do this in the same session, right? But the person who comes with a father wound usually will need to see, and I'm usually telling you 99.9% of the times, I need to see the mother. How did they get along in the energetic movement of this couple, but also how much the mother influenced in the child, so the child created these wounds. Because what about if this couple got divorced and the father moved on and he wants to see his child, but the mother is still with resentment and talks like, your father is the worst, your father is so lazy, he's so dirty, he never did that. How the child is gonna, the child when parents get divorced, will need to choose. His soul will need to choose who was right and who was wrong. And maybe this child won't express it verbally, but his soul will know. He's going to lean towards one of them. And if this child believes the mother, he's going to create a father wound because the mother talked to him about bad things about his father. So how do we heal the father wound? And this is the perfect scenario for family constellations. Like I have a lot of clients that say, like, I've never seen my father or fix my relationships with my mother or see my career bloom after a family constellation session. In a family constellation session, we are going to create a living map of your family system. We can use in a circle, we can use people or objects, right? I usually use my peg dolls that are here, or felts, right? Pieces of paper that represent the family members. This is going to reveal hidden dynamics, like how your father's wound might connect to his father's trauma, for example, and help us restore balance because the imbalance started behind, right? Not with me. It started before. For example, in a session, we might see that your father's emotional distance was because he was carrying his own father's grief from war or loss. By acknowledging that pain and giving it back to its rightful owner, your grandfather, not energy shifts. You are no longer carrying what isn't yours. We also honor the father's love, even if he couldn't fulfill it by saying statements like this: I see you as my father, and I take the life you gave me. And this statement, as simple as it is, and I'm going to say it to my father that is right here: I see you as my father, and I take the life that you gave me. I take the life you gave me. This restores the flow of love and strength. Believe it or not. Ancestral healing through family constellations isn't about blaming our fathers. Because when you blame, you judge. When you judge, your ego goes up and the ego creates separation. No healing is possible when there is separation. There has to be integration. Family constellation is about understanding the bigger picture and releasing the patterns that no longer serve us. I've seen people leave sessions feeling lighter, more confident, and ready to step into their lives with clarity. And that's the shift of energy. I shift my energy, and whatever I project from now on is more clear, more balanced for me, for my future partner or my partner, and my kids, my future kids, my siblings. Everyone gets the benefit of this. I want to live this. The father wound might feel heavy, but it's not your destiny. We have free will, and that's very important. I can be beat up when I was little. I have seen scenes that a child is not supposed to see. Maybe there was abuse, there was physical abuse, mental abuse. Maybe I didn't feel safe, etc., etc. But it's gonna be up to my will to see what I do with this information now. I can carry it with me for the rest of my days, or I can do something. Through family constellations, you can heal not just for yourself, but for your ancestor and future generations. If this resonates with you, I want to invite you first that I have a new 30% code for family constellations online or in person that is spring 25. So you get 30% off. And I invite you to check the other videos that I have here. I have on YouTube and I have on Spotify. I also invite you to check my website because on my website I have more descriptions of how family constellation works, and I have some videos that you can see. You can watch to see how is a session. Please, if you like this video, please give it a like, subscribe to my channel, and if you want it, you can share it so more people can get the benefit of watching this and understanding how we can unblock what we thought that it would be forever our pattern. Thank you for joining me.